almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. I'm sorry, guys. What's going on here? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened.
Welcome back. You know, the mainstream media has reached a level of delusion that is actually dangerous. In this clip, JD Vance is confronted by reporters who are frantically trying to spin a tragedy in Minnesota. A woman tried to ram an ICE officer with her vehicle, a lethal threat, and was shot in self-defense. But listen to these reporters. They are actually asking if being part of a network justifies the shooting, completely ignoring the fact that she tried to kill a cop with a car. Watch JD Vance refuse to play their game and expose them for exactly what they are: agents of propaganda. Let's get into it.
I said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question.
Thank you. Finally, someone said it. Look at how the reporter tried to frame that. They asked, does being part of a network justify being shot? As if she was targeted for her beliefs. No, genius, she was shot because she turned a 3,000-pound vehicle into a weapon and tried to crush a federal agent. Vance cuts right through the nonsense. It's simple cause and effect. You try to kill a cop, they defend themselves. The fact that the media is trying to turn this into a debate about funding protests instead of acknowledging the attempted murder is insane. It's gaslighting, plain and simple, and Vance isn't buying a second of it.
I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car, and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. I'm sorry, guys. What's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened.
Agents of propaganda. That is the mic drop moment right there. Vance didn't just answer the question, he put the entire press pool on trial. And he's right. How did we get here? How did we get to a point where journalists are acting as PR agents for people attacking law enforcement? They are literally trying to rebrand attempted vehicular homicide as legitimate protest. It is sick, it is dangerous, and Vance calling it out to their faces is the kind of leadership we have been missing. He refuses to let them set the narrative. He refuses to let them make the criminal the victim. Absolute destruction.